Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Lpearly Show. Today we've got not a fragrance episode? What? I know, crazy, right? So most of my content on YouTube right now is fragrance content, obviously. Although my stream and other content I post definitely has kind of like a gamer bias to it. I haven't really made any gaming content on YouTube at the moment. And I figured a fun way to start doing that would be talking about some of my favorite video games. Another thing I wanted to mention was that this is my list at the moment. I can always play a new game that will wiggle its way into my top 5. Additionally, there will be sort of an honorable mention section at the end of the video for games that I really like that I wanted to mention that didn't quite make my top 5. So another thing is that obviously this will be apparent to some of you, but not all of you. This is a list of my favorite games, Lpearly's favorite games. This is not a list of the best 5 games of all time ever. If you leave a comment asking why God of War Ragnarok or Red Dead 2 isn't on here, I'm going to throw you into the sun. Other than that, this list is going to be in reverse order with my favorite games at the end of the video. So let's get into it. Fallout New Vegas, one of my most glazed games of all time. This one is an absolute classic, and I will not be accepting any criticism about it. All jokes aside, New Vegas was the first RPG that I really fell in love with. I'll admit to a very good amount of nostalgia on this one, as I did play it for the first time when I was around 13. I'm almost 26 now, so that's half of my life I've been playing New Vegas. Again, no bias here at all. In all fairness, though, I did play New Vegas coming from Skyrim, which made me realize how bad of a game Skyrim was. Sorry, Skyrim fans, that game is fun, but it is ass. I'm going to assume that most people watching this have at least heard of Fallout, so I will give the briefest introduction possible. Fallout New Vegas is a video game where your friend Matthew Perry loses all his bullets. Unfortunately, your character is the one who ate all of Mr. Perry's bullets.
Hope this interaction doesn't lead to any kind of fallout between us. Fallout New Vegas.
You don't want your friend Matthew to be mad at you for eating all his beans, so you have to trek across the nuclear Mojave wasteland to let him hold one, and eventually you get caught in the middle of a larger geopolitical conflict that people are still arguing about a decade after the game's release. The story and the dialogue are two of the stronger aspects of Fallout New Vegas. This, combined with the game's atmospheric soundtrack, means that the game has a fighting chance for being one of the more believable and immersive worlds that have been created across the medium, in my opinion. Unfortunately, no true New Vegas fan could refer to it as a perfect game. The graphics and the gameplay, mostly the gunplay and some of the other FPS mechanics, haven't aged that well to a lot of people, even though they weren't exactly industry defining whenever they came out either. Like many games from publishing giant Bethesda, Fallout New Vegas pretty often suffers from frustrating glitches and bugs that can range from whatever the hell this is to your entire save being corrupted and deleted because the Gamebryo engine did an oopsie. Mods can fix a lot of these issues, but telling someone to mod their game right out of the box feels kind of strange. Like that pufferfish that has to be prepared correctly or you'll drop dead after eating it. Yeah, that's New Vegas without NVAC installed. NVAC stands for New Vegas Anti-Crash. Can you guess what the New Vegas Anti-Crash mod does? What it prevents from happening? Despite the issues, I think Fallout New Vegas is a work of art. I think all of the lists on this games are work of art for one reason or whatever. But I think New Vegas is one of my favorite games just because of how believable it is and how much replay value you can get out of exploring this world that truly feels lived in. Being able to make changes to this lived-in world feels very satisfying as well. Mods elevate the base game into something even better, but if I had to talk about every single thing that makes New Vegas one of the all-timers, this video would actually never get finished. I have 840 hours on New Vegas on Steam, but you must consider that I played through this game 3 times on PS3. 3 times. Multiple 100-hour playthroughs on the worst edition of the game. So I've probably wasted over 1,000 hours of my life playing the funny Nuclear Cowboy game. Trust me, it's good. Play it. Buy it. Buy the Ultimate Edition with all the DLC or don't buy it at all. The Old World Blues Good Karma ending changed my brain chemistry. I think about it like once a week, especially lately.
There is an expression in the wasteland, Old World Blues.
It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was, eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, Old World Blues took on a new meaning.
Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was Old World Blues, and New World Hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves.
Welcome to the cosmos. I am your prince.
Am I seeing things?
That's the prince on a stick.
I almost laid an egg.
What are you doing here? I'm here to show you Katamari Forever. Ta-da!
Katamari Forever. This is a fucking video game. It's not an action-packed 40-hour tale of love lost and fates claimed. It's not an expansive RPG with different endings. There's no boss fights or moral conundrums to scratch your chin over. This is a game where you're a brightly colored little guy rolling stuff into his ball, and everything else is worked backwards from there. The story is nonsensical to give focus to the gameplay, which is instantly accessible due to the dual control stick scheme. Your grandma could pick up Katamari Forever and play it. She probably couldn't get a 100-point score on some of these levels, though. This ain't your grandma's game, buddy. Tell Gertrude to go back to Weenie Hut Jr. while the real men discuss cinema. Katamari Forever was released in 2009 for the PlayStation 3. It's still there. It's stuck in PlayStation Limbo. # free Katamari Forever. It's essentially the final mainline game in the Katamari series, coming after Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari. I'll show you guys the Katamari release timeline here because it's really confusing, and it's mostly just mobile games and stuff like that. Basically, Katamari Forever almost exclusively contains levels from all the games before it, acting kind of like a clip show or greatest hits of the Katamari series. Its name in Japanese is literally Katamari Damacy Tribute. I actually didn't know that before I made this video. # fake fan. It has literally 3 new levels in it, so some people do prefer the previous 2 games due to them being slightly more focused and original with their ideas. I think Katamari Forever goes just a little bit too hard with its difficulty sometimes. But I honestly considered the first game to be way too easy. So the insane difficulty on some of the levels in this game just kind of rounds out the difficulty for me. I think having to replay the levels multiple times to unlock the different modes is pretty awful, unless you're just replaying those levels over and over again for fun after like a long day of work, like I was, so I can't really defend it on that. Katamari Forever is a comfort game to me. I can boot it up and be happy at almost any level, except Make a Star 7. I hate you, Make a Star 7. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. The hub world is very cozy to me, even if the level layout is pretty awful. It makes me very happy to dress up the Katamari cousins with all the items that you can find in the levels. They all have different models depending on what cousin you put them on, which is really cool and something that I don't think you would really see today. As far as my experience with other Katamari games goes, I played Katamari, the original Katamari Damacy on my emulator before the remake came out, and then I played the remake of that years later, and then ended up playing Forever after that, so I probably am a little bit biased towards Forever, because I haven't played the other games, right? I did actually play a little bit of We Love Katamari Reroll on Game Pass, and it didn't immediately wow me, but I can see why people like it or even prefer it to Katamari Forever. The hub world is really cute. It's a very nice game. The soundtrack is good. And oh my god, put those grippers away! Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. One of the greatest games of all time, and I'm not walking it back. Fuck your number one. Metal Gear Solid 3 on top, baby. Woo! All hyperbole aside, Metal Gear Solid is one of my favorite video game franchises, and 3 is my favorite child by far. Metal Gear Solid 1 is an all-time hood classic that has aged amazingly. 2 was also a groundbreaking release, and I think the last third act of the game is something that, no spoilers, simply cannot be replicated by another piece of media due to its unique relationship with the first game and the overall culture of the mediascape at the time. Suffice to say, Metal Gear Solid 3 had big shoes to fill when it came out. Metal Gear Solid 3 stands on its own as an excellent game, yet also serves as an excellent prequel to the other games in the Metal Gear Solid series. Metal Gear Solid 3 would best be described as a stealth game with survivalists and spy thriller elements. The series is very campy at times, yet knows when to play the tension straight and not undermine things. There aren't any Marvel quips in the middle of the torture scene.
Meow, that really smarted. Yeah, I appreciate that. This eye patch has been burning a hole in my pocket.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably the most story-focused out of all the games on this list. That is to say, I kind of value fun and rewarding gameplay over more detailed storytelling in video games. That's just my opinion. I play video games to have fun, but I do also respect the medium when it tells good stories. Most of the time, if I wanted to watch a book or read a movie, I would just do that. I like games that feel rewarding on my hands to play too, you know, not just the brain. But it's not just the story in this game that is amazing, though. The story is definitely sort of the main dish, but the side dishes include an excellent stealth sandbox environment, complete with everything from leaving out dirty magazines to distract enemy soldiers, to waiting a week in real time for an extremely old boss to die of old age, as opposed to fighting him directly, which it's nice that the game shames you for, because the boss fight is really amazing. I skipped out on it on my first playthrough, because I just set my PlayStation 3 forward like a week, like a cheater, and I actually, it's a good boss fight. You shouldn't skip it. It's fun. Almost every boss fight in this game is amazing, which is more than a lot of games can say. Overall, it's just an amazing game that I cannot recommend you play enough, either through the Metal Gear Solid HD collection, which is out on most platforms, I believe, or when the remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta, comes out whenever Konami gives up their crippling Pachinko machine addiction. God Hand. Where do we start with God Hand? Basically, you take the same people who made Okami, and you let them make a brawler with tank controls that parodies Japanese and Western culture. Let's just say the results are pretty interesting.
Question time, sweet cheeks. What's the name of our boss? Elvis! E-L-V-I-S!
Like I give a shit.
Cargon Wild Joker! One hard gangsta diamond! You can find me at the club! Have your pet neutered or spayed! Ow, 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 ow! I'm hurt! I mean hurt! Together we are the
Douchebags. Well, at least Olivia's not as bad as that crazy bitch. She went out again. Yeah! Olivia!
Formation! Time to shuffle up and deal! I've got a killer hand!
I've got a killer hand!
You're gonna get it!
You're gonna get it!
Quit imitating me!
Ah, this is dumb.
This game is pretty funny, man. The left stick controls where you're looking as well as where you're going, as far as controls go. The right stick is your dodge button. You also got roulette wheel attacks, which are good for crowd control or taking down strong mini-bosses, as they usually don't work on any of the larger bosses unless they're humanoid. This game is basically Sifu before Sifu, if I had to describe it.
What the hell? Ha! Nervous? Bring it on.
You have tank controls, like I said, but you can also customize all of your individual attacks and switch up your moves with guard breakers and low-high attacks that you can unlock with the gold that you get just from playing the game, or gambling at blackjack in the Chihuahua races.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang
The story has a couple of interesting characters in the same way that watching a car wreck is interesting. It is truly a game that I think needs to be played to experience, not just because of the humor, but also because of the difficulty wall. The game is going to kick you around a lot. That is why I said difficulty wall and not difficulty curve. It pretty much sets the record straight right off the bat with making you square up with the idea of randomly watching Satan demons spawn out of whatever enemy when you defeat them. The unique difficulty mode also deserves a mention, where you'll get bumped to a higher difficulty mode if you're doing well and dodging a lot of attacks. Make no mistake, this game wants to shove your face in the dirt a little bit and then make you laugh with a ridiculously silly cutscene after. This game essentially functioned as the studio's swan song, with Clover Studios closing shortly after the game's release. Fortunately, though, many of the developers from Clover would go on to found Platinum Games Studio, which made games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. God Hand shares some DNA with these gems and is still worth a play in 2025, despite having aged clumsily in a few areas. If you really know me, you knew this was coming. I'm gonna skip the introduction on this one, because who doesn't know Smash Bros? This is the game where Mario and Zelda and Link and Kirby just smack each other across the screen. It's not complicated. Smash Ultimate is a game that I've played since it came out in 2018. I've been active on and off in my local tournament scene in that time as well. Trust me, I've seen the good and the bad of this game. If someone tells you this game is good, believe them. If someone tells you this game is bad, also believe them. This game is all about how much you can get out of it. It's the classic party game. You bust this out at a party, a couple brewskis deep, and people are going crazy. At least my type of people will go crazy. Maybe your people are lame. I don't know. Smash Ultimate is a great party game for sure, with endless fun available, with all the different settings, modes, items. There's a ton of different ways to play in this game. I feel like a lot of people sleep on it for that reason, but it is lacking in certain other factors. Lack of support for competitive players is disappointing by Nintendo, as the training mode and competitive online multiplayer options are sorely lacking before mods are brought into play. I also think the game doesn't have as much satisfying single-player content as some of the previous games. I mean, it's hard to beat Brawl's story mode, and Ultimate does have some stuff like home run contests and stuff, but overall, I think it's lacking a little bit in single-player stuff, which gets a little bit worse when you compound the lacking in single-player stuff with the not great online. Despite this, the poor online capabilities of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate changed the trajectory of my life, unironically, by making me go outside and go to tournaments and interact with people who I never would have met otherwise. So I've met people that I hope to carry as lifelong friends because of this game, and that's something that I have to give it credit for, on top of everything that it achieves as a game, even if it does fall short in certain areas. Because this is a game that had a lot of hype behind it, and I think for the most part it delivered for a lot of people. Smash has insanely big shoes to fill, and I can't help but feel for Nintendo to meet everyone's demands when it comes to expectations for a new Smash game. Or it would be easier to feel bad for them if they didn't actively hate the people who were trying to play their games. Alright, well, that's pretty much going to be my list for today. Thanks for watching this very niche and Lpearly ego piece. If you enjoyed what you watched, please consider subscribing. If you didn't, I'm not sure why you watched this far, but if you did, thank you. Either way, I appreciate your support, everyone, and see you all next time.